Hey guys, so I'm so sorry I got late by 10 minutes, just reached from my office. So today we're going to talk about something very important, how to read literary text. We are preparing for UGC NET exams, UPSC, DSSSB, EMRS, GIC, LT, TGT, PGT or any type of literary exam. The question comes that when you prepare for literary exams or you read a literary book, what is the difference and what should be the exact approach? In this video, I will be talking about the most important thing, how to read things, how to read a book. This video is very much connected to reader response theory that I will be telling you. Reader response, it's simply connected to readers. Also called reception aesthetics. Reader response theory. Who is an ideal reader? What is an ideal reader? Anybody who wants to tell me? I can read your comments. You need guidance for PhD. Good evening. Good evening, guys. Tell me who is an ideal reader. Who is an ideal reader? You have a question, Anuradha? Let me come close and see your questions. I'll also transfer this link so that I can take this link in my mobile phone and answer all the queries immediately. Let's come back. Yes, you have a question. Tell me. And to get in flow, in a proper flow, I think I must get rid of this code. I just realized I got late. So let me just get rid of this code. By that time, we go for a proper session. I have a heater in the room, so maybe it will not trouble. Okay, your question is that you have scored 88 in LT. तो आपका क्या होने वाला है? Now, exactly, I don't remember exactly आपका क्या होने वाला है, but yes, we have given the cutoff video. Just watch the cutoff video, connect the dots. Cutoff video देखो, connect करो, आपको direct answer मिलेगा. And here we go for the link, so they can see all the comments. Here we go. Yes, now I can see your comments. No one is an ideal reader. Exactly. No one is an ideal reader. Nobody can be called the best reader, the perfection. But the point is there any good way that can be connected to readership? And here we have many writers. What did they say about reading? So let's go for these things. We will be dissecting these things one by one. Literary reading is the disciplined response to a text in which the reader attends to language, tone, imagery and emotional balance rather than factual information. When you read a literary text, you don't have to go for factual information only. Two ways of reading literary text. Reading literary text for literary purposes, reading literary text for exam purposes. I will be talking about both one by one. According to I. Richards, it is a disciplined response to a text. When you read a text, read it, but not for the sake of factual information, but for the sake of language, tone, imagery, and emotional balance. That's what you have to remember. We go for Clint Brooks. Almost same ideas are given by Clint Brooks and T.S. Eliot. Literary reading is the close examination of a text as an organic whole. The structuralist reference, meaning emerges from the internal relationship of its parts. So, read the literary text not for the meaning given by the author, for the meaning that you have to develop, you have to find out. Taking reference of T.S. Eliot, literary reading requires sensitivity to tradition and form. You should know the writing tradition and the form. You must understand the form of the text, allowing the reader to perceive how a work gains meaning through its relation to the past literature. Quite simple. How to read literary text. Now, I'll be giving you some important details. By that time, we have also some questions. The questions from GDC. This is the thing that students sometimes don't focus. Literary theory, reader response, and you're asking, sir, any class for GDC? This is your class, my dear brother. This is your class. Clint Brooks, T.S. Eliot, Arnold, Roland Barthes, all of these people are talking about how to interpret a literary text. Literary text कैसे पढ़ना है. And why I'm teaching you this thing here? For two purposes. For knowledge purposes and for your practical application. How to apply this theory in your own readings. You're preparing for exam, you have many literary books, but you don't know how to read it. पढ़ना कैसे है? Exam point of view से कैसे पढ़ना है? Literary point of view से. Literary reading क्या होती है? What if somebody questions you that do you read a book? Yes sir, I read a book. Do you read the newspaper? Yes sir, I do read the newspaper. What is the basic difference in reading a newspaper and reading a literary text? So what will you say? That sir, I read in English, I translate it in Hindi. Will you say that? That sir, I understand the meaning here, I understand the message here. No, literary interpretation is totally different. So that's what we are dealing with. पूरे YouTube पे अभी तक how to read a literary text ये वीडियो नहीं है, किसी ने नहीं बनाई है. So this is very important. And I can share these PDF with you. You can, if you want it. if you want it, you will be getting these things. Now, let's go for our purpose. Our main purpose today is to help our students to focus on certain things. How to read literary texts. Here you have to write down these pointers. These pointers will help you. Thank you so much. There's a question by Sumit. देखो आप लोग की क्या क्वेश्चन है. सुमित का क्वेश्चन है कि मेरे 156 बन रहे हैं, क्या मैं पास होऊंगा? आई नो आई हैव अ ग्रेट मेमोरी बट आई डोंट रिमेंबर एग्जैक्टली मैंने किस में क्या कट ऑफ दिया है. एलटी का कट ऑफ अलग बताया मैंने, नेट का अलग बताया. सिंपल है. गो टू माई चैनल, यहां पे जाओ, लाइव में जाओ. लाइव सेशंस में आपको यहां कहीं ना कहीं मिल जाएगा इंग्लिश रिव्यूज या कट ऑफ या ये सब चीजें आएंगी. वॉच इट. इफ यू फॉल इन दिस कैटेगरी यू विल क्वालिफाई. सिंपल, इट्स क्वाइट सिंपल. I don't remember exactly all those references. We have to deal with multiple students and multiple exams. Now come back for this thing. Reading literature is totally different from reading for information. What was my question? What is the difference between reading a newspaper and a literary text? So first thing, reading literature and reading things for information, there are two different things. First thing that you have to note down. समझ भी लो इसको, पढ़ने पढ़ाने बहुत काम आएगा. Reading literature is different than reading for information. So that's what you have to remember. If you really want to understand things, literary texts are not read in a hurried way. They are read slowly. They are felt. Virginia Woolf said this thing, don't dictate your author. Try to become the author. Try to feel the author. Archibald MacLeish said, a poem should not mean but be. Poem की meaning नहीं होनी चाहिए. Do you know that the moment you explain any poetry, the moment you elaborate any poetry, you actually kill the poetry. The poems are not to be elaborated. The poems are not meant to be taught in the classroom. Do you know that? The moment teachers teach poetry, they kill the sense. Confused? That's how we are studying graduation, post-graduation. Our big teachers are coming and teaching us all the poetry and giving us all the details. No, the poetry has to be felt. So in India or abroad, wherever the teachers teach poetry, explain poetry, elaborate poetry, they actually murder the poetry. Note it down. This point is very, very important. Now, a literary text is not meant to be rushed. It is designed to be read slowly, thoughtfully and repeatedly. धीरे पढ़ो, सोच समझ के पढ़ो और बार बार पढ़ो to understand literary text. In Hamlet, when Horatio tells Hamlet that your uncle has a plan to kill you, don't go. Hamlet says, Horatio, there is a special providence in a fall of a sparrow. Whatever is going to happen will happen. Que sera sera. Readiness is all. If you're just reading it, you'll say that all of a sudden Hamlet talks about a sparrow, a bird. Why? No idea. But no, that's a philosophical reference. That's what you have to remember here. Sorry, थोड़ा गला इरिटेट कर रहा है आज. Actually, एक long session लेके आ रहा हूँ UPSC का. After completing my UPSC session, finally I'm here. So there is a question. सर मैंने UPLT का बैच खरीदा है तो EMRS का मेंस उसी में मिलेगा. अब मैं अभी स्कैन करता हूँ, आपका एडमिशन चेक करता हूँ कि आपका कॉम्बो बैच है कि इंडिविजुअल बैच है. मैं कर रहा हूँ स्कैन. कमाल है यार, मैं पढ़ा रहा हूँ भाई, मुझे कैसे याद होगा आपने कौन सा खरीदा क्या नहीं खरीदा. There is just LT batch, there is LT crash course batch, there is LT combo batch, कुछ भी हो सकता है. एंड ये ऑफिस में पूछो ना, why I'm paying salary to those 8 to 9 people. उनको पूछो, they'll tell you. It's like मैं कह रहा हूं दोस्तों जंग में चलो तब तक एक सर वहां चाय मिलेगी क्या नाश्ता मिलेगा क्या वो यू आस्किंग व्हाट हैज हैपेंड टू यू गाइस प्रिंस नाम में प्रिंस है कैसे क्वेश्चंस कर रहे हो यार आपको भी याद नहीं है मुझे भी याद नहीं है मैं अंदाजे से बोल दूंगा मिलेगा और मान लो नहीं मिल रहा होगा मिलेगा तो आप परेशान हो जाओगे यूपी पीजीटी का भी कुछ करिए हाँ हाँ यूपी पीजीटी क्लासेस न्यू बैचेस सब आने वाले हैं आई थिंक तुम ये सब समझ नहीं रहे हो इट्स ओनली फॉर यूजीसी नेट आई नो इट्स हाई लेवल but all those who are watching it will help you, especially GDC gate exam, CUTPG, UPSC people watch this thing. It's important. Now, unlike newspapers or textbooks, literature demands attention to language, tone and suggestions. आपको यहाँ पे फोकस करना है tone, language, suggestions पे फोकस करना है. The simple purpose is you don't have to go for what happened. The factual knowledge is not important. You have to interpret important things. आपको अंडरस्टैंडिंग करनी है तो जब आप एग्जाम के लिए पढ़ते हो या वैसे पढ़ते हो मीनिंग के लिए मत पढ़ो कि सामने वाली मीनिंग क्या है उसको आपको डीप मीनिंग में जाके पता करना है कि एक्चुअली क्या चीज है कहना क्या चाहता है इफ विंटर कम्स कैन स्प्रिंग बी फार बिहाइंड सो ही इज नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द वेदर चेंजेस द सीजंस ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द ऑप्टिमिज्म दैट्स व्हाट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड हियर देन हाउ टू स्टार्ट रीडिंग हाउ टू रीड द बुक्स आप में से बच्चे पूछते हैं ना कैसे पढ़ना है सर कैसे स्टार्ट करना है First, read naturally. First reading is always the natural reading. Just read it for the sake of reading. The same method I apply in comprehensions. You remember my lectures on comprehension? I have clearly mentioned this thing. First reading is just for the sake of reading. Natural reading. So that you have complete idea. The mind map has been clear related to that particular thing. The first reading should be smooth, uninterrupted. Read to understand the story. So here in the first reading, you have to understand the story, situation and characters. Now, no need to put efforts here. Just read so that you get the first idea of the text. Second reading, read analytically. Pay attention to language, imagery, symbol and repeated ideas. What are they saying again and again? What are the symbols? What are those imageries and how the language has been used? Is it sarcastic? Is it satirical, ironical, funny language, or the language is filled with multiple literary devices? Then comes the third reading, the final reading. In the third reading, you have to go for critical reading. Find out the themes. What is the theme? Which literary movement connects the text? And what exactly is the viewpoint? This is how you read the literary text. आपको ऐसे ही पढ़ना है. अब ध्यान दो. लैंग्वेज एज अ मीनिंग आपको सिर्फ लैंग्वेज ट्रांसलेशन के लिए नहीं पढ़नी है मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल इफ यू आस्क पीपल दैट कैन यू रीड अ बुक इन इंग्लिश हाँ सर यस सर वी कैन रीड अ बुक इन इंग्लिश रीडिंग इज डिफरेंट अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज डिफरेंट रीडिंग इज डिफरेंट अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज डिफरेंट इफ आई टेल यू द टी इज कोल्ड so tea is cold is chai ठंडी है that is translation but the interpretation is that I'm telling you you should not drink that tea. Maybe you should order a new tea. Maybe you should get it boiled. The point is that you have to go for interpretations. अब यहाँ पे क्या होता है जो words होते हैं literary books में वो बहुत सोच समझ के लिखे गए होते हैं कोई metaphor हो सकता है something can be adjective something can be a pause. For example, if you see Thomas Gray Elizabethan Country Churchyard opening line the curfew tolls the knell of the parting day and plowman plots to his weary way. The reference of weary way is transferred adjective, transferred epithet. That's what you have to remember to understand the emotions, tensions and uncertainty. And it is basically a language play. तो आपको समझना पड़ेगा कि आप मीनिंग नहीं ढूंढ रहे हो हिंदी मीनिंग नहीं ढूंढ रहे हो ट्रांसलेशन नहीं कर रहे हो यू आर जस्ट ट्राइंग टू डिकोड दिस थिंग इन लिटरेचर आपको डिकोड करना होता है in literary reading you have to decode in newspaper readings you just have to read and understand the factual things then you have to identify the themes आपको themes identify करनी है whenever you read any literary book find out what are the actions tragic comic what conflict for example Merchant of Venice the conflict is religious conflict then patterns if you go for patterns you'll find out that maybe the play is showing women as a weak character, maybe showing patriarchy or the social patterns. Now, then you have to go for the ideas which are reappearing, such as power structure, freedom, alienation, identity. If you read V.S. Naipaul, House of Mr. Vishwas, you'll find out freedom, identity are the reoccurring themes. So identify the themes in the text, then read the characters, but not as the part of story, what they represent. वो represent क्या करते हैं? Characters often represent ideas, attitudes, and psychological states. Hamlet is not just a prince. He is not just a man alive. Hamlet is a person who is representing the psychic mind of educated man who thinks a lot before taking any action. So point is, आपको psychological characters क्या है, attitude क्या है, what was the attitude of Macbeth? So Macbeth name is okay, anybody can be Macbeth. But what was the attitude of Macbeth that made him Macbeth? What made Othello Othello? His character study, the behavior. That's what you have to understand in these things. Then the role of context. आपको role of context देखने हैं. अब role of context में क्या होता है? What happens? Whenever you read something, see the historical reference, social background. Like most of the stories were having background of French Revolution. Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities, has a background of French Revolution. So when you read it, connect historical dots. Find out how it is connected to history. Awareness of context deepens interpretation. If you know the context, your understanding will become far better. How? There is a famous line by Wordsworth. Bliss was it in that dawn to be alive, to be young was very heaven. Bliss was it in that dawn. Now, if you do not know French Revolution, you will not be able to understand this particular phrase, in that dawn. Why it was blessed to be alive in that dawn. Which dawn? So if you do not know historical context, you won't be able to get the meaning. The meaning is he's talking about French Revolution. Then, reading for examination is totally different. Memorization, that I'll give you in details. And then there are some common errors. One of the common error is most of the people go for summary readings. And this is the problem. But remember this thing. If you're going for exam purposes, I'll tell you that sometimes you have to read the summaries. So I'll be very honest. Sometimes you have to read. But when you actually read proper literature, it should be proper in-depth word-to-word reading. That's what you have to remember. अब समझ में आया कि लिटरेरी बुक कैसे पढ़नी है, किसी बुक को कैसे इंटरप्रेट करना है. I'll tell you most important things. मुझे पता है आप बोलोगे हाँ सर ये तो समझ में आ गया है, लेकिन एग्जाम के लिए कैसे पढ़ना है. अब this is the point that you need right now. Overall literary reading, we have talked about this thing, but for exam purposes, how to read for exam purposes? सर हमें तो एग्जाम निकालना है ना, we have to crack the exam. Ultimately मुझे एग्जाम निकालना है. एग्जाम के लिए कैसे पढ़ना है सर? And here we go. Let's go for it. Thank you. आपने लिखा है कि आपके 90 क्वेश्चन सही हैं मेरी वजह से. मेरी वजह से नहीं है, मैंने पढ़ाया. I just completed, I did my job, my teachers did their job. You worked hard, you have got it. Now let's go for it. Read the text as a question bank, not as a story. Now the approach is totally different. पहले क्या कह रहा था? Read literature for overall meaning. अब क्या बोल रहा है? Why this change? Because this is for exam purposes. Read the textbook, read your book, but as a question bank. Every line has an information. यहाँ पे आपको फीलिंग नहीं चाहिए, स्टोरी नहीं पढ़नी है, मजे लेने के लिए नहीं पढ़ना है. यहाँ सर खुशी के लिए पढ़ रहा हूँ. I'm reading for the sake of happiness. I'm reading for the sake of pleasure. I'm reading for the sake of pastime, pleasures. No, not at all. What you have to remember is it's simple. Read the text as a question bank. For competitive exams, a literary text should be approached as a source of potential questions. हम जब पढ़ेंगे तो हम क्या देखेंगे? हम ये देखेंगे कि भाई यहां से कोई भी क्वेश्चन आ सकता है. कोई भी क्वेश्चन आ सकता है मतलब they can ask you anything. Maybe the title, maybe the writer, maybe the publication, the opening line, last line, characters, some famous quotes. So take the book as a question bank. That's what I do. When I read something for exam purposes, I just see that if I have to ask questions from this particular book, what are those questions going to be? What are the questions which are going to be my first preference to be picked up for an exam? So that's my idea of reading. Now, एक बच्चा ने लिखा है कि फेक चैनल है. यस, आई एम AI. इट्स अ फेक चैनल. आई एम AI. नाउ कम बैक. Focus on themes, symbols, characters, narrative technique and ideology. अब देखो क्वेश्चंस कहां कहां से आते हैं. क्वेश्चन कहां कहां से आते हैं. देखो, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, what is the theme of the text? It's very very important. You have to check the themes. Then symbols क्या क्या हैं, कौन कौन से symbols हैं, क्या क्या symbol होंगे. फिर characters कौन से हैं, narrative technique क्या है, unreliable narration है, temporal distortion है, time shifting है, ideology क्या है, Marxist, feminist, what are the perspectives. This is how you have to find out these things. और फिर अपने आप से बात करो. That I suggested you. अपने आप से पूछो तुम इस एग्जाम में क्या पूछोगे. Imagine this thing. चलो तब तक इस बच्चे का लास्ट कमेंट कर देते हैं. फेक चैनल, ऑल फेक कंटेंट. बस तुमने आया, इतना बोल दिया, सीना चढ़ा हो गया हमारा. बाय बाय. देखो, all the students came here to study. One decided that I'll spread my negativity everywhere and got deleted. अब बेचारा फ्रस्ट्रेट हो जाएगा क्योंकि अब वो कुछ नहीं कर सकता. जो ट्रबल करे उसको ट्रबल करने का पर्पस ले लो, फिर वो और फ्रस्ट्रेट हो जाएगा. नाउ कम बैक. सी दिस थिंग. व्हाट कैन बी आस्क्ड फ्रॉम दिस टेक्स्ट. यहां से क्या पूछा जा सकता है. अगर आपका ये हो गया, अब इसके आगे जाओ. आइडेंटिफाई एग्जाम रिपीटेबल एरियाज. अब ये देखो एग्जाम में कौन कौन सी चीजें बार बार आती रहती हैं. मेजर थीम्स, अंडरलाइन थीम्स ऑफ एनी बुक. हैमलेट से सीधी सी बात है, साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज बार बार आते हैं. हैमलेट से साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज बार बार आएंगे. देन उसके बाद देखो सबसे बड़ी चीज है, जब आप कोई टेक्स्ट पढ़ते हो, अगर फेमिनिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव है, फॉर एग्जांपल डॉल्स हाउस, फेमिनिज्म बार बार आएगा. इफ यू रीड ओथेलो, हस्बैंड वाइफ रिलेशनशिप बार बार आएगा. दे विल बी आस्किंग सम कॉमन थीम्स. देन इंपॉर्टेंट कैरेक्टर्स, फॉर एग्जांपल शाइलॉक इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट कैरेक्टर, repeatedly asked. Mrs. Dalloway, most important character, repeatedly asked. Nora Helmer in Doll's House, repeatedly asked. Rebecca Sharp in Vanity Fair, repeatedly asked. And then how these things, symbols, motive क्या है कहानी का, narrative technique क्या है, poetic technique क्या है, literary devices क्या है, historical, ideological context, ये सब पेपर में आते हैं for all these exams. ये सब चीज पेपर में लगातार आती है. इसको ध्यान रखना आप लोग. ठीक है. अब देखो यहां पे एक लॉजिक आप लगा सकते हो कि जो पहले आ चुका है, व्हाट हैज ऑलरेडी बीन आस्क्ड अर्लियर विल बी आस्क्ड अगेन इन अ न्यू फॉर्म. जो पहले आ चुका है वो दोबारा आ सकता है नए तरीके से. तो डिटेल में जाना है. ठीक है. हाँ, मेंस एलटी के क्रेडिट का मैसेज है बच्चे का कि सर जल्दी से मेन स्टार्ट कर दीजिए, हमें एग्जाम देना है. थैंक यू, आपने मुझे बता दिया, मैं तो भूल ही गया था आपका एग्जाम है. अरे अभी 2 दिन तो हुए, तुम्हारा रिजल्ट है यार, शांति रखो. मेंस की स्ट्रेटेजी बनाने तो मैंने बोला तो था कि फ्री 50 क्वेश्चंस मिलेंगे आपको मेंस के. फ्री 50 क्वेश्चंस बनाने भी तो दो ना. ठीक है. मोनिका डोंट वरी, तुम टॉपर हो, तुम टॉप करोगी. नाउ कम बैक. लिंक एवरी टेक्स्ट विद लिटरेरी थ्योरी और मूवमेंट. अब देखो हर टेक्स्ट को कनेक्ट करो लिटरेरी थ्योरी से या मूवमेंट से. किसी न किसी मूवमेंट से, किसी न किसी लिटरेरी थ्योरी से वो कनेक्टेड हैं. Those texts are there. You just have to find out and connect. Point is, whenever you read in a literary book, it's not read in isolation because if you're studying for exam purposes, connect the text to a literary movement. You should know which book deals with industrialization, which book deals with World War I, which book has background of French Revolution, which book has background of suffrage movement, which book signifies Victorian Marxist conditions. ये सारी चीजें याद रखनी है आपको. Such as romanticism, modernism and postcolonialism. जैसे आप multiple isms देखो, isms, ये isms भी आपको याद रखने हैं. isms के साथ आपको कनेक्ट करना आना चाहिए. Texts and theories. This is if you know something. This is very crucial. If you have prepared these things, the net exam will become easy for you. ये मेरा फोर्टे है बहुत बड़ा. मैं हर टेक्स्ट को लिटरेरी थ्योरी से कनेक्ट करके पढ़ता हूं, तो ये मेरे लिए एक बहुत बड़ा प्लस पॉइंट हो जाता है. अब देखो नेक्स्ट. कन्वर्ट रीडिंग इनटू शॉर्ट रिवाइजेबल यूनिट्स. अब क्या करना है, यहां पे आपको प्रॉपर फुल समरीज पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. सीधा करो 1 पेज एग्जाम नोट्स बनाओ, शॉर्ट नोट्स, बुलेट पॉइंट थीम्स. ये मैं भी करता हूं, हालांकि मैं डिटेल में भी पढ़ता हूं. 5 to 6 की फैक्ट्स, हर चीज के 5 to 6 की फैक्ट्स बनाओ. 2 to 3 क्रिटिकल व्यू पॉइंट्स होने चाहिए और इस तरह से आपका कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम निकलेगा. तो जब भी कोई किताब पढ़ो, whenever you read a literary book for exam purposes, focus on this thing that first of all go for small summary. You got the crux, then one page exam notes, writer, book, opening line, last line, publication, then go for bullet points, make some notes, make some noise, वैसा वाला make some notes. 5 to 6 key facts. इसमें हीरोइन को धोखा कौन देता है, हीरो का बेस्ट फ्रेंड कौन होता है, इसमें लॉयन आ जाता है, ये सारी चीजें आपको याद रखनी है. एंड देन कुछ क्रिटिकल व्यू पॉइंट्स. अगर आपने ये सब कर लिया तो आपका फिर चीजें एग्जाम के हिसाब से रेडी हो जाएंगी. अब सबसे लास्ट पॉइंट, प्रीवियस ईयर्स क्वेश्चन. सो व्हेनेवर यू स्टडी अ टेक्स्ट, लाइक दिस इज माय स्टाइल, whenever I read a literary text for exam purposes, I connect this thing with PYQs. The most efficient reading, the PYQ guided reading. PYQs कौन से हैं? Even when I teach you in my offline batches or in my classes, I keep on telling you that this book, PYQ has been asked, that book, that particular writer, हर book, हर writer के PYQs are already told in my classes. Then, before or after reading a text, check what questions have been asked earlier, which areas are repeatedly targeted, which facts and ideas are ignored. किस बुक में कौन से क्वेश्चंस बार बार आते हैं? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू आस्क मी क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम जेन आयर, I'll say, see, first of all, Jane Eyre as a character, her red room, her teacher, her friend Helen Burns, Mr. Rochester, Bertha Mason, how Bertha Mason dies, what was the prequel of the book, all of these are already PYQs. So when I'll teach you these things, I'll be prepare all these things in detail. क्योंकि हमें पता है उसमें क्या क्या PYQs आ चुके हैं. तो जब ये सारी चीजें आप करोगे तो आप एग्जाम के लिए फुल्ली प्रिपेयर्ड हो जाओगे. अब इसके बाद आता है कि सर ठीक है, हमने कॉम्पिटिटिव पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू समझ लिया, लिटरेरी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू समझ लिया, अब और क्या तरीका है कि हम सिर्फ एग्जाम ओरिएंटेड स्टडी कर सकें. लेट्स गो फॉर दैट ऑल्सो. इफ यू आर लर्निंग समथिंग एंड इफ यू आर रियली हैप्पी, you can go to the channel. This is my channel. With your love, we have 5,20,000 around subscribers, around 5,19,900 something, and a lot of videos for you. So if you're here, you can watch anything, go for videos, explore it, shorts, live classes, courses, playlists, and you can also go to the store. When you go to the store, you'll find out all the courses and books, EMRS, GIC, GK books, RPSC, COET, NET exam, DSSSB, TGT, PGT, all of these things are there. See the GIC things. So you will find each and everything. What to do? Go to YouTube channel, go to home, and then go to store. When you go to store, all these books will be in front of you. Now, and please don't forget to subscribe when you're there. If it has helped you, and you really think that yes, nobody has ever given this kind of idea how to approach a literary text, then please don't hesitate to subscribe. It takes a fraction of second, 0.19 second. एक सब्सक्रिप्शन को लेता है फटाक से टक करना, and it's totally free. But yes, it connects us, it gives us a sense of family, and it honors us, it motivates us. So don't hesitate to subscribe. Now let's go for this. अब कैसे पढ़ना है आपको? सबसे पहले एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. अब सिर्फ एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू देखो क्या है. जैसे ही आपकी राइट अप्रोच क्या होगी? फर्स्ट थिंग, किसी भी टेक्स्ट को पढ़ो, whenever you read any text, just focus on analytical and strategic approach. Don't go for the story purpose. Analytical and strategic approach. You don't have to enjoy. You have to go for simply the elements connected to exams. Themes are very important. कोई भी book पढ़ो, theme आनी चाहिए. Structure, whatever you read, structure should be there. Context and critical significance. ये सब चीजें कंपल्सरी हैं. So next time when you ask me, sir, what to read, how to read, from where to read, themes, structure, characters, character analysis, motive, ये सब आना चाहिए. अब बेसिक चीज, author and year of publication. Who is the author? T.S. Eliot. Wasteland was published in 1922 in the magazine Criterion. याद होना चाहिए. World famous Vanity Fair by W.M. Thackeray was published in 1847. Jane Eyre got published in 1847. Wuthering Heights got published in 1847. Paradise Lost, 12 books, 1667. You have to remember like this. This is how you have to be prepared. So author, year of publication, multiple questions आते हैं यहाँ से, multiple time questions. Then literary phases and movement. The book belongs to So somebody says that a book belongs to silver folk novels of Victorian age, or the poetry belongs to the silver poets of Elizabethan age, or the poetry is written by the lake poets. So movements, literary phases, groups, all of these things are important. Genre of the text. Is it a travel writing, a confessional poetry, a subjective poetry, a romantic novel, or stream of consciousness style? Style, pattern, tips पे होना चाहिए. Then, as I already have told you, historical and social background, French Revolution, World War, Russian imperialism, colonization, ये सब आपको आना चाहिए. Reason for the text importance. किताब क्यों important है? कोई आपसे पूछ ले किताब क्यों important है? What is the value of that book? Reason for the text importance. So this is the main thing. How it contributes in literature. Why this book is a literary classic. What is the importance? So this is something that you have to pay attention. This is very, very important. Then step 2. Understand the structure. How many acts are there? Books kitni hai, sections kitne, and chapters kitne. For example, somebody questions James Joyce Ulysses, how many chapters has? You need to answer that thing. Or somebody just questions Wasteland is divided in 5 sections. Last question, LT grade. जलेबी मेथड पढ़ाया था, याद है? वेस्टलैंड के कितने सेक्शंस हैं? या पैराडॉक्स की कितनी बुक्स हैं? कितने एक्ट्स हैं ड्रामा के? एलिजाबेथन ड्रामा, हैमलेट 5 एक्ट्स. ये आपको याद रखना है. देन नैरेटिव टेक्निक एंड फॉर्म. क्या है नैरेटिव टेक्निक? अनरिलायबल नैरेटर है, शिफ्टिंग नैरेटिव है, फ्रेगमेंटेशन है, डबल नैरेटिव्स हैं, या फिर सॉरी मल्टीपल नैरेटिव्स हैं. I'm so sorry. लगातार बोल रहा हूं ना फास्टेस्ट. या फिर मल्टीपल नैरेटिव्स हैं. एंड देन लीनियर स्टोरी है, यानी सिंगल नैरेटिव स्टाइल है, या सर्कुलर है, या फ्रेगमेंटेड स्ट्रक्चर्स है. यूज ऑफ फ्रेम. क्या फ्रेम नैरेटिव है या एपिसोडिक स्टाइल है? एपिसोड के स्टाइल लिखा है, या स्टोरी विद इन स्टोरी है? ये आपको पूरा स्ट्रक्चर समझना है. जब पूरा स्ट्रक्चर समझ में आ जाएगा तो आपको अपने आप समझ में आएगा कि कैसे पढ़ना है. अब देखो, आपको कोर थीम पे जाना है. कोर थीम क्या होती है? सी, select 4 to 6 major themes only. So in any text, if you find out, actually first 2 themes are important, but for a better reading, better interpretation, किसी भी text में फेमिनिज्म मिलेगा, सोशल इश्यूज मिल सकते हैं, पेट्रियार्की मिल सकती है, मार्क्सिज्म मिल सकता है. ये रीड करना ही करना है. देन थीम्स कॉन्सेप्ट बेस्ड होनी चाहिए. व्हाट इज द मेन थीम ऑफ डॉल्स हाउस? कंडीशन ऑफ अ वुमन इन अ सोसाइटी, राइट? देन relate themes to historical cultural context. How the theme of the book is connected to some movement, that some book inspired something. For example, Playboy of the Western World inspired the riots in Dublin. So you have to find out those connections and relate. Then themes are frequently used in questions. So connect it. What kind of themes are repeatedly asked in exams? See, when you focus on characters, now the next point is characters. Each major character in the text, उसको देखो. कौन है Hamlet? Everybody knows. कौन है Claudius? Everybody knows. Gertrude कौन है? Everybody knows. Horatio कौन है? Everybody knows. But how many of us actually dive deep and know the character of Ophelia, the beloved of Hamlet? What if they ask you the question, that role of Polonius as a father for the son Laertes and the daughter? So you have to go for each and every character in depth, then connect those things in symbolic and thematic significance. Characters are frequently asked in exams, so make sure you remember these names. किसी भी बुक का कोई भी कैरेक्टर कहीं भी आ सकता है. कैरेक्टर और थीम का क्या रिलेशन है? जैसे डचेस ऑफ माल्फी, बोसोला के बहुत क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. तो बोसोला कौन है, बोसोला का क्या रोल है, ये आपको एज इट इज देखना पड़ेगा. देन द लाइन्स एंड पैसेजेस. द लाइन्स एंड पैसेजेस. Most of the important things, like 3 to 5 important lines. If it is a poetry, 3 to 5 important lines. If it's a novel, opening line, last line, and famous quotations. Then lines commonly used in objective questions. वो lines जो famous dialogues बन गए हैं, famous बन गए हैं, ऐसे बार बार आने वाले lines. Then passages, long paragraph, long passages which speak the theme, like the last passage in Julius Caesar. How they speak and they just clarify each and everything. Mark Antony does that. Or Nora Helmer's speech. Or the Soliloquy in Hamlet. Then unnecessary excessive quotation नहीं पढ़ने हैं. बहुत सारे quotations का रट्टा नहीं मारना है. Selective थिंग्स करनी है, सेलेक्टिव रीडिंग्स करनी है. So when I teach, I provide quotations. For LT grade also, this time I clearly told you, remember this thing. I was ever a fighter, so one fight more the best than the last. पढ़ाते वक्त बोला था कि अगर आएगा तो ये आएगा. And that actually came. Then see. Step 6. को जो भी तुमने पढ़ा है, whatever you have studied, just add critical perspective. ये देखो, मेजर क्रिटिक्स एसोसिएटेड विद द टेक्स्ट कौन कौन से हैं, किसको किसको हम कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं. देन कौन कौन से क्रिटिकल लेवल लगा सकते हैं. क्या हम किसी टेक्स्ट को फेमिनिस्ट बोल सकते हैं, मार्क्सिस्ट बोल सकते हैं, कॉलोनियल बोल सकते हैं, पोस्ट कॉलोनियल बोल सकते हैं, एग्जिस्टेंशियल बोल सकते हैं, एब्सर्ड बोल सकते हैं. ये आपको देखना है. देन मेजर डिबेट्स. What is the major debate of the text? What does it question? For example, G.B. Shaw's Candida. What is actually the basic theme? The husband and the lover, who deserves the wife, and what is the importance of wife in the house? What is her own identity? Then relevance of criticism in exam questions. So critical point of view से multiple questions आते हैं. तो आपको focus करना है क्या पूछ सकते हैं. Then revision and retention strategy. फिर आपको सबसे ज़्यादा revise करना है. हर चीज के 1 पेज नोट्स बनाओ, याद करो, फिक्स्ड इंटरवल्स पर रिवीजन करो, प्रैक्टिस ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस रेगुलरली. यहाँ पे आप PYQs जो हैं उनको भी प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हो. एंड फोकस ऑन वीक टेस्ट रिपीटेडली. These are the most important things that you have to remember. In coming sessions, I will be talking about the mistakes, common mistakes repeatedly done by these students. तो आपको बहुत सारी चीजें मैं आपको बताऊंगा. अभी 2 चीजें और इंपॉर्टेंट आपके लिए हैं, नेक्स्ट सेशन में करेंगे. और ये डेफिनेशंस मैं आपको नेक्स्ट क्लासेस में एक्सप्लेन करूंगा, सारी डेफिनेशंस. बाय दैट टाइम सब्सक्राइब द चैनल, स्टे ट्यून्ड, एंड यस, DSSB, GIC, TGT, PGT, LT, all of these batches are going to be announced soon, so stay tuned because all of these classes will have biggest discount. बहुत बड़े लेवल पर डिस्काउंट होगा with a new app. We are going to launch it. जैसे न्यू ऐप लॉन्च होगा, आपको न्यू ऐप के साथ एक गिफ्ट मिलेगा और बहुत बड़े डिस्काउंट होंगे. बहुत बड़े डिस्काउंट मतलब यहाँ का जो प्राइस है वो सीधा यहाँ पे मिलेगा, बहुत कम प्राइसेस पे. सो इफ यू आर प्लानिंग टू जॉइन GIC क्लासेस, LT ग्रेड क्लासेस, DSSB क्लासेस, PGT क्लासेस, TGT क्लासेस and EMRS classes, just wait, subscribe the channel, go for the bell icon, and I believe you must have loved it. Write in the comments which topic you want next in my class. I will be sharing knowledge with you. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Good night. Shabba khair. Take care.